Valerie Vaz, who has 5 minutes.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I thank the Leader of the House for the business, and can I actually tell everyone exactly what the Opposition Day motions are? It's the Prime Minister's Council tax hike is the first one, and the second one is the Government's plan to weaken employment rights. I ask again about the session because we need to know when we're likely to get our next Opposition Day. I don't know if you've seen the publication by University College London's Constitutional Unit, Professor Meg Russell and Daniel Gover of Queen Mary's, on taking back control. The foreword was written by Sir David Natzler, but one of the ruses the government uses, Madam Deputy Speaker, is to prolong the session because we only have a fixed date for our Opposition Day, so we only get 17 even though the session is longer. But I hope the Leader will confirm that Budget Day remains on the 3rd of March. The periodic adjournment for Easter will have to be, Easter's on the 4th of April, and I think the Prime Minister's actually resolved, he hasn't actually told the House, but he's resolved that the elections will take place on the 6th of May. So I think that just leaves us a short period as to whether the session ends. Now, our Shadow Chancellor said she can't find the Chancellor. So can the Leader confirm whether he's in budget purdah now? I don't know if he knows, but she was the first woman ever to deliver the Mays lecture. And if everyone wants to read about fiscal responsibility, that's it. Now, the Education Secretary will make a statement later, but he's said nothing about testing in schools, and which I think is part of the Moonshot programme. Apparently that's been halted. So could he come to the House, or could anyone come to the House and explain what Operation Moonshot is? Now, the Secretary of State for Health hasn't given an update on the NHS. Anyone who saw the BBC on Tuesday, Madam Deputy Speaker, where a woman in a morgue was in tears, a consultant was in tears, a 28-year-old without underlying conditions was actually taken into hospital, had COVID. We've had the highest rate of people who have died since the pandemic began. We need an update. Now, the difficulty, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I hope this can be discussed, is that while we have an Opposition Day on Monday, we can't have UQs that eat into our time. So I don't know if it's possible to look at starting earlier so we can have an update on the NHS crisis on Monday. I want to put on record my congratulations to Richard Beacon at the Manor Hospital. It's a fantastic vaccination programme, 17 minutes in and out, and at one stage they had the highest number of vaccinations in the country. But the government needs to be straight with us. No more Brexit promises. They're like the pie crust promises, easily made, easily broken. We need that scrutiny committee for the Right Honourable Member for Leeds Central. We've got musicians who can't work, no visa-free access. My honourable friend, the member for Cardiff West, asked for the publication of what the two sides said during the agreement. So can the Leader ensure that we have that publication? Our fishermen have had to perform the Monty Python fish slapping dance in the government's face before the government do anything. So they've announced by press release the £23 million. Who is it for? How long will it take? Will it help them fill in the 400 pages that they need to fill in? We need a statement. Worst of all, Madam Deputy Speaker, a lorry park in Dover in a village without consultation, breaking the law again. Villagers are up in arms. It's in Dover on agricultural land. Could we have a statement on why the government is breaking the law and upsetting local villagers? Now, I want to thank the Leader of the House for getting the Foreign Secretary to write to me, but what he didn't say in his letter, he didn't mention any of the dual nationals. Anousheh Ashori needs his diplomatic protection, and Richard Radcliffe and my honourable friend, the member for Hampstead and Highgate, have asked what plans will be put in place for Nazanin and Anousheh's release. Luke Simon's fate is still unknown. And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to congratulate President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on their historic inauguration. Liberty, equality, climate, economic and social justice and democracy are their watchwords. We in the opposition want to work very closely with them and wish them every success.
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I join with the Right Honourable Lady in congratulating President Biden and Vice President Harris. I think we are both personally delighted that President Biden is only the second Catholic to be President of the United States, and to have a fellow religionist in charge of the free world is, I think, very good news. If I may come to the question of dual nationals in the letter from the Foreign Secretary, In that letter, he did point out the difficulties that there are in dealing with dual nationals because some countries don't recognise the concept of dual nationals, and this is particularly true with China and Iran. And so that was referred to in the letter, and I will, of course, as I do every week, take up the points regarding the dual nationals who are held improperly in Iran. To come to the tease of the Right Honourable Lady about the titles for the debates on Monday, the Council tax is a matter for local authorities, as she knows, and the government has provided many billions of pounds to local authorities during the pandemic, including £4.6 billion of unring-fenced money to help them deal with it. So the resources from the central taxpayer to help the local taxpayer have been enormous. As regards the UCL report, yes, indeed, I am aware of it. I'm afraid I think the idea of a House Business Committee is cloud cuckoo land. We saw how unsatisfactory it was, how divisive it was when this House didn't have the government able to organise the business during the 2017-2019 Parliament. It was chaotic for government, it was chaotic for Parliament, it was very bad for the temper of political debate. And a government has the right to set the timetable in the House by virtue of the mandate it's got from the British voters. And then members of the House have to be convinced on each individual issue that they wish to support the government. And I have to say that the Right Honourable Lady would be taking exactly this view if she were Leader of the House rather than Shadow Leader. I therefore do not think it would be wise and would be strongly opposed to a House Business Committee. I think it would lead to the sort of chaos and disruption we had in the last Parliament. The Right Honourable Lady mentions fiscal responsibility and the Labour Party in the same sentence, which I think forgets the message left by a former Chief Secretary of the Treasury about there being no money left. So last time the Labour Party was in government, they ran out of money, and I think one should judge people by what they do rather than what they say, and what the Labour Party does whenever in office is run out of money. The Right Honourable Lady then mentions testing. 52 million people have been tested. That's a very large number of people, a very large percentage of the population, though obviously that includes many people who've had more than one test. 700,000 tests per day. And then musicians, the position on musicians is extraordinarily clear. Her Majesty's government said that during the negotiations, we made proposals that would have allowed musicians to travel and perform in the UK and the EU more easily without needing work permits, and based on the input of music bodies like UK Music and the Musicians' Union, the EU rejected these proposals. So therefore musicians are in the position they are in because the EU rejected those proposals. The Right Honourable Lady then mentioned the fishing industry. And there is £23 million, in addition to the £100 million, to help modernise fishing fleets, and recognising that any delays for the fishing industry are particularly difficult because of the short shelf life of fresh fish. And therefore the extra help is important. They have faced particular changes, but the advantages our fishing industry will have are going to be reaped as the days and years go on. Already we have an increase in the exclusive zone, which only UK boats can fish. We will have 25% quota uplift at the end of 5 years, beginning at 15%. This is going to be very good for rejuvenating the fishing industry, and extra money is being provided to help ensure that happens. So it is a positive solution for helping our very important fishing industry.
We will make America great again.